What's up, everyone? Paul Trani here, Principal Director, Evangelist at Adobe, and this is next level techniques and exciting new features in Photoshop. So these are all those pro tips that I've been using over the years, and new features as well. So the plan is you will be fully up to date and you'll have the pro tips. Starting with kind of customizing and power shortcuts, so customizing Photoshop. We'll get into selecting and removing, kind of like cleaning up images. Then we'll get into creating and manipulating content, so actually creating in Photoshop, which is pretty wild. And then we'll get into color adjustments, making content match, so overall color adjustments, and then sort of fine-tuning specific color adjustments. So that's the plan. We're starting out in Photoshop. I want to note that there is Photoshop on the iPad and on the web as well, but we're using the desktop. Just some quick, big things for shortcuts. What I use all the time is, I customize keyboard shortcuts, mainly for navigating my files. I personally like arranging everything, tiling them all, and then consolidating them all back to tabs, and then you can match zoom and location. Just so you're aware, so we could sort of tile everything, find the image that you want. Maybe you just want to view everything easier. That's sort of match zoom and location. And then we also have sort of jumping into that specific file. So I just use shortcut keys for navigating around, just super easy. Anyways, I'm going to find and go with this file. It has about 80 layers. Okay, we can see that right down here, the number of layers. And I even want to get into my layers panel, because the layers panel is probably the most important panel in Photoshop, if you ask me. So first off, I can't really tell what's what. What is layer 18? I have no idea. I must have been really busy trying to get this done. I didn't name my layers, and I want to be able to see what that looks like. So we're going to layers panel, go to panel options, open that up, and we can see right in here. What do we want to do? Not entire document, but we want layer bounds. So just what is in that layer, that one flower, just reveal it. And then I'll turn off some of these things. Don't keep adding copy to things. We also have show layer mask badges. That's brand new as well. I usually turn that off. And what that is, if you can see over here, it's this little icon. So I just turn that off. I just try to clean this up as much as possible. So that's the magic we want to see. We'll click OK. Oh, fancy that. We can actually see the honey wine flower. This is probably some shading that I was doing, right? I still might not know where that is. Where is it? Well, I can option click. Holding down the option key and clicking will jump directly to that layer. So that's what's happening. Option and click on the flower. Oh, there's the flower. What about this velour flower? Clicking there. So I'm bouncing around this document just by holding down the option key. Another thing you could do is you could do option. Maybe we'll do it on this one right here. Option, click on the eyeball, and that turns off everything and just reveals what I'm working on here, what's on that layer. So that's kind of how I'll like bounce around things. Here's another thing you can do. So I have my selection tool right here. A lot of times you'll have auto select. Maybe you have it turned on, maybe you don't. I usually have that turned off, and I use the command key to toggle it. So what that enables me to do is just command key, click, and now notice how I've selected that layer. So command key click, I'm bouncing around that layers panel. Command key click will do the auto select toggle. Also, just so you are aware, a lot of new controls are here. So you could show the transform controls for certain layers if you want to. So notice how that gives me the transform controls here. I'm not a huge fan of that just because it gets in the way of my designing. So I have that turned off, but then there are additional settings right in here. So you could show layer bounds on hover, or show hover bounds from layers. So I'll show you what these two mean, right? Now, as we roll over, look what is happening. It gets sort of highlighted in blue. Hopefully you can see that. Highlighting, showing me the layer bounds. And also look what's happening to the layer panel. As I roll over things, it starts to dance around in my layer panel. I'll just usually have those turned off just to not distract from the designing. Some file tips and tricks. I'll right click on a file and you could just reveal in Finder where this particular file is. It's like, oh, that's where it is, Paul. Why don't you keep track of your files? Another pro tip in here. So check this out. Let's say if I want to make two different versions of this. Let's duplicate this. because maybe I want to have the master document. I kind of want to protect it. Just add T there. So that just made it a template file. So now watch what happens when I open this up in Photoshop. It opens it up as an untitled file. So it's never going to overwrite this PSD-T. Definitely protects files. Let's go back to this one. Another huge thing about cleaning this up is right up here, using this layers panel. If I want to see all of the smart objects, filter for smart objects, click here are all my smart objects. Use this to navigate around your file. I'll use this sometimes to make it so you could, like, say, find objects that are linked, because you might need to package this up or just double check. Just make sure, things aren't broken. I will search by smart objects. I'll see which ones are like connected via cloud. And then any issues you have right in here, just select that and you could easily find that. So filtering that content out is absolutely huge. All right, cool. Let's move on to some other fun things we can do. Because honestly, I already have this design done, where did this stuff come from? Obviously, I'm like using lots of images. I'm cutting them out. So I'd start with maybe the object selection tool. So with that selected, I can roll over any one of these birds that I might want to use. Click, and now I have it selected. But basically, I would just click and make that a layer mask. Okay, so now I'm able to just sort of position it accordingly. There's more you can do there. What I'll end up doing a lot, in fact, let's get into more of these selections. Let's get into something like this. This is a case, and again, I'm going to use keyboard shortcut, bam, to reveal the contextual taskbar. Okay, so right in here, rather than using these tools off to the side, you could literally jump in and select subject. Or maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe your whole goal is to remove the background. Well, we have that right in here. Click remove background. So it removes the background, adds that layer mask. I could use a brush and kind of clean this up because we know we'd want to. Kind of missed a spot right there. That's fine. I can clean that up sort of all I want. But even within the same experience right here, for this contextual taskbar, I can select generate background. So I want a beach with reflective water, right? So that's what I'm trying, just taking him off of this barren landscape and putting him on a beach, because that's kind of looks like where he should be. And yes, I do need to clean up that image more. And boom, there we are. He is on the beach. In fact, we have 3 different versions. Kind of click through any one of these. I love how it adds the reflection right down here. Looks really good. And let's say, for instance, I like this version. We can see off to the side, we get the variations. And I could try more prompts and different things, but right in here, enhance detail. This is important. Taking this one that I like, clicking that button to have an enhanced detail version, since it is the a background, which is pretty large. Enhance that detail and you're looking good. All right, so we cut out this astronaut, but I want to get into something even more specific and just something more difficult, but these are really the one-click wonders, and this is a brand new feature. Right in here, this case, where I'd love to go on a vacation, and maybe I don't want to show all these people, right? And it's a lot of sort of stamping out. I would encourage you to use the remove tool, and I can start to paint each one of these, because like, okay, I might need to remove this guy right here, so I'll paint, and then it'll automatically remove him. So there he is, removed. But that's how it works. Like I can come in, paint, have it remove automatically. But this is still going to be a lot of work to jump in and do all of this stuff for these people. Brand new, find distractions right in here. Find all the people in this scene. Go through, find the people, see how it highlighted everyone in pink? And what do I do at that point? Just hit that little checkbox at the top. So that is distraction removal for people. I'm sure they're nice people, but again, I want the beach to myself in this case, and it will do that. But there we have it. Within one click, we've gone from here to here. Get a load of that. Look at this, amazing. All right, I'm going to do one more of these as well for you. Here's an image with a ton of wires. This would be a pain as well. We'll jump in here. We'll find distractions. Instead of using this people, we'll do wires and cables. One-click removal. And look at how intense that is. That's like a lot of work. And look at that. Your before and then your after. Look at that. Just thoroughly impressed with that. Just this is magic. Distraction removal, absolutely huge at what you can do. So let's get back into this. Right, we've removed content. We've used the removal tool. We could use generative fill to remove content. If I want to remove, I could just hit generate and it'll just remove it, or you could type something in there. When it comes to generative fill, there's also generative expand. So I'm going to do this really fast because I want more of the sky. So we'll go to generative expand when I have crop tool selected. So we'll just extend it up. We'll just hit enter. There we are. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Looks great. Let's go ahead and add some text in here because I want this to be Mexico because that's where I'd like to go. Pro tips right in here. What if I want to make this look like it's in the clouds, right? How would you do that? I don't know. This is how I would do it, and this is how you should do it. We'll go into the layer options. I'm going to double click right here. Boom. Right in here. We're going to use blend if for the underlying layer, not the layer I'm on, the underlying layer. So watch what happens if I pull the black in. It's actually gonna sort of start to remove the darker areas, right? See, that's what's happening there. So what I wanna do is I wanna grab this lighter area and pull it this way. But more importantly, we wanna split this by hitting the option key and click. And now we've split this, so let me zoom back out. Now we have this amongst the clouds as I adjust this. It's kind of in the clouds and I still see that it's like legible. And I just think that looks like super cool. Okay. You know, and then from there, you can just like throw gradient overlay. There we go. Something like that. You get the idea. Just something more eye-catching for this particular layout. One more thing. I want to point out that we have updated the font experience. So if we go in here we have lots of options. If you go into more fonts, here's a bunch of fonts that you can get. In fact, I love how there's all these tags right in here. So we could sort of go with luxury. And not only that, as we roll over, we can see all those different fonts. So the whole overall experience is just like absolutely amazing when it comes to fonts, because this is really what I need. We'll go a little bit thicker so it's easier to read. You get the idea. All right, I'm gonna do you one more real fast. This situation right here, still using the crop tool. We'll extend this up. We'll make sure this is set to generative expand. I'll hit that checkbox. And here we have some extended variations right up here, which is cool. I actually wanted to point out as well that this happens to be a video. Hey, what's up everyone? Paul from Adobe here to talk about Adobe's terms. So I essentially took a horizontal video, I have extended it, and now I have a vertical video for TikTok or whatever platform, all in Photoshop. So generative expand on a video, put that in your back pocket and use it. Now I want to get into some more pro tips, things that I use all the time that I think you should just know about. Just cool tips. So basically what I want to do is I might want to change this to black and white. So these are the flowers. If I just want to turn those flowers black and white, hold down the option key, we've just made a clipping mask, okay? So now that's just affecting those flowers, but I want it to affect all of the flowers. So I've seen too many people jump in here and like duplicate this, Command J, excuse me, to jump it, move this down, and you end up with like 3 black and white layers or whatever. That's not efficient. There's 2 ways to do this. Take these layers, group them, bam. They're now in a layer group. And you can have your adjustment layer on the outside and then you clip it. Okay, so that's going to affect everything inside of there. So let's take a look. Now it's affecting all of the flowers. Or an even better pro tip for you is I put this in here because I want everything to be nice and clean, because we should have our flowers background right in there. Now, what is this doing? Well, it's actually changing everything behind it. So let me just show you. Let's just like show you that this background, so this background is now purple. This black and white affects everything underneath it. So what do you need to do? Go to this layer group or this folder and we'll change the blend mode. Nobody knows what normal is. Well, this is what normal is. Normal means it won't pass through to all the layers beneath. So if we change this to normal, it's self-contained within the folder, only affecting the things in that folder. So as I drop in my butterfly in there, drop it in there. It's going to affect the butterfly. It's going to affect the swallow. It's going to affect this butterfly right here. You get the idea. So that's just an organization thing that I find that's like hugely helpful. Let's get into this. Let me do a quick pro tip because I just think this is really fun to work with. I could go into this snake, which I think is just like super cool, and I'll change everything to black and white. And I'm just going to duplicate this snake. So here's a second snake. And what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to double click and I want this sort of RGB look. So I'm going to turn off the green and the blue channels. And what we get is we get this just as a red, just the red channel for this object. And as I bring it back over where it interacts, it will actually reveal the blue as well. So I just like this look. I just think it's going to be my new style. Not really. And I'll use a shortcut puppet pin just to kind of offset this some more. But now we just get this really cool look for this snake. So anyways, fun pro tips just design wise. Here's the final one where you could really see those channels coming through and you can see this little icon shows that those are the channels that are turned on and being manipulated accordingly. Now that I'm working with adjustment layers, I want to work on this image and we'll just do some overall adjustments and then really start to refine it. Because what we could basically have in here, if we open up our adjustments panel, we have our single adjustments right in here. And then we have a bunch of adjustment presets. So I can come in here and just start rolling over each one of these to see how these adjustment presets will look on my image. Okay, so what is happening here? Well, this is actually just a bunch of adjustment layers added to my design. So I can click blue mood. What does that do? It adds it right over here. Photo filter and a brightness and contrast filter. So this is an easy way to learn. If I happen to tweak any of this, maybe I want to make a more of a warm toned version. All right, so we'll switch it up, do something kind of like that. So it's actually yellow. I now have sort of this new version that then I can turn around and make. So right in here, we can add this, and this is yellow pop. Right, and saving that as my own adjustment preset. So now I have yellow pop, and then I have these other ones. I have yellow pop, we roll over it. I have my contrast pop of color, and then I have my contrast sort of explosion. So adjustment presets, easy to use when using your own adjustment layers. Now I want to get into one more thing when it comes to dealing with color, and that's specific sort of color adjustments on specific areas. So I'm going to use this image now because it really is kind of flat and I could do an overall adjustment. Maybe what I want to do is if I want to like sort of have some light kind of painted shining down in here, I might have a brush, right? And then maybe you'll paint right in here and then you'll change this to say like overlay. And that kind of gives me my light, but I don't have any control. It's either off or on. Like I just don't have a lot of control doing that. So I'm going to just go ahead and delete that. And I'm going to go right over here to my adjustment brush tool. So check this out. This is the one I'm going to use. And watch what happens when I start painting, right? I'm actually painting with light. In my layers panel, you can see that it actually has created this brightness contrast layer. So now, look, I can actually control how bright it is, how much contrast there is in here. And it honestly just gives me a lot more control. And this is like exactly what I want. I could still paint, and as I'm painting, I'm actually just like painting on that layer with white. As you can see, in fact, if we option click, you could see what I'm painting there. So that's just a way where I can sort of add a splash of color or splash of sort of brightness in this scene. Adjustment brushes will just give you more control. Now, what I've been doing this whole time is really just cleaning up images and using images that I already have. But Photoshop can actually create images. So check this out. This is really cool. This is in the Photoshop beta, which you can get right in here, beta, Photoshop beta. And I want to show you this because like, how could you get to this point? What if you just have sort of a blank canvas, right? So this might be the case. It might look something like this. How can I create content? And yeah, we could create one-off images, but I want to introduce you to, if we go to edit, this generative workspace. So this is similar to what, it's similar to having sort of Firefly running within Photoshop. And here it is. Yours won't look like this. Mine, I've already generated things, but this is what I want to show you. So right in here, we can generate a bouquet of exotic, colorful flowers on a white background, right? And then I could hit generate. And there's also a fast mode, just quickly enabling you to create lots of content. So notice how it gives me 2 rows of these exotic flowers. How nice is that, right? So good. I can go ahead and add that to my current document or any new document. Okay, but I want to go beyond that. Check this out. I love what we have going on down here. First off, I can have a reference image and use that reference as a composition or a style, which is huge. But I also like using variables. So we can add a variable right in here. I'll click and we're going to replace colorful with magenta, teal, yellow. What other color? Probably want an orange. Why not? Right? So I've dropped in 4 different colors, and maybe we want just one exotic flower on a white background, but we're gonna have an exotic flower with those like 4 different colors of it. So click generate. This just basically enables you to create a ton of flowers at once, or a ton of really anything at once. And there they are, beautiful flowers that I can use in my composition. So that looks good. And from there, I can check the ones that I want and then add them to the file that I'm working on. So there it is. This magenta flower, and it keeps the prompt, which is just like so cool. From there, I can use object selection tool to mask it out and really mask out all of those and bring those into my composition like I'm doing right now. Now, I really wish I had more time to talk about things. In fact, I'm going to do one more thing if I could. This is bonus material because I think this is absolutely amazing. This is also in the Photoshop beta. We're going to go to filter. We're going to go to parametric filters because that's what I want. I want to just apply a filter for this. And under parametric filters, these are filters that others can create. So right in here, I can do sort of that chromatic aberration, which is basically what I was doing earlier. Well, that's now a parametric filter that I can use. I can click on it. Oh, looks cool. Awesome. I want to go beyond that because also one of my favorites is this one. So it's called embroidery in Photoshop because I want this look like it is embroidery. Clicking on that, and now we have that filter and all of these properties off to the side. So if I want to sort of decrease the stitch density, basically give it more stitching or smaller, tighter stitching, I can do that as well. So all these parameters are set up by the developer who made this, and really this is it's a 3D material file, just so you know. So this one is not available just yet, but I hope it is soon. So that's all the more reason to follow me on socials. All right, so I've really gone over a lot in 30 minutes. Customized, Photoshop, especially the layers panel, selecting, removing, creating, manipulating, some color adjustments. I could talk about this stuff for days, but hopefully got a lot out of this in under 30 minutes. My name is Paul Trani. Feel free to follow me on the socials, and we can keep the conversation going. Thank you so much for watching.